despite the scoreline being close, we look to dominate them. What does that say about us?
Oh, let's just say that we're the best team in the league.
Doucet will bring the puck up for the Giants. He'll let a shot go. Hirsch saves. Doucet! And the Giants are back in the game. Here is Alan Clark. Space to escape. Darryl Lloyd who gets a shot up and it goes through Peter Hirsch.
Well, the game is netmindable. Want that one back. Guthrie. Trying to stop the puck from Roblin. This is going to be a 2-on-0 for the Giants. It's Mason. To their side. He scores! Oh, that is beautiful hockey by the Giants. Keith getting his hand free. Swinging a few roundhouses. Yernick trying to get himself in a position to throw one back. There's an overhand. They're wrestling up tight against the boards. Yernick, oh, good punch by Yernick. A good couple of punches by Yernick. Keith trying to respond. Yernick with another one, and another. Oh, that was a good punch by both men. They're swinging. Yernick landing the better at the minute. Keith can only hit Yernick's back. Yernick's got him in a headlock. And that's a win for Brian Yernick, in my opinion. Cross side, so McLean fires and a blocked shot. Prevents Mike McLean scoring. It's loose in front. Oh, and it's a Blaze goal. It's Matic Kral. Here's McLean. Kral, he's got room. Matic Kral. Oh, Matic Kral. And that is a beautiful goal. Kral, he has the 2 Blaze goals tonight. Finds Farmer. Oh, Robert Farmer takes the water bottle. Guthrie looking at Murphy. Eyeing him up. He's got great hands, Guthrie. Here he comes. Down the middle. Oh, Shea Guthrie! Robert Farmer is going to be the next Coventry Blaze man to take a penalty shot. He has a goal tonight. In his skates. He goes to the right. Makes the shot. Goes, oh, upstairs! Robert Farmer goes upstairs. Lovely, lovely goal.
Goes Aaron Clark. Skates in. Slowly. Aaron Clark goes out wide to the right. Goes back in. Digs Aaron Clark. Tries to put it through. Save Peter Hirsch! And Blaze win 4-3.
If that's the league leaders and the so-called best team in the league, I think we should be the best team in the league after this.
Today was pretty fun.
Boy, we got a packed show for you this week. Peter Hirsch talks about shootouts.
Shea Guthrie talks about being the go-to guy.
Matty Soderstrom on why the Blades are possibly the best team in the league right now.
And we discuss a curiously negative reaction to the Belfast result. Hello everybody and welcome to the Coventry Blaze webcast here. It's Tuesday again, as always. We pretty much do these things always on Tuesdays now. And, the nights are drawing in and, that's kind of been counteracted by the Blazers' results of late. We had a great 4-point weekend, winning against the Edinburgh Capitals, a team that have made a lot of teams come unstuck against them because they've got a really good top line in Hartman, Yarrolene, and I think they rotate the other winger from a couple of guys on the second line, trying to bring in some of their British players. So they've had a good impact, and they're on their backup goalie, which I think kind of didn't help the scoreline much, but still a good team, and still a good team to get 2 points off of, especially at this stage in the season after losing both games the previous weekend. Then a big result against Belfast, and we were elated on the webcast to be able to bring our first game that went to penalty shots as well, and it was a real excitement and a real buzz around the rink, and we were really looking forward to hearing fans' reactions. And there was a little bit of negativity which we'll come to later on in the show, but we spoke to one of the guys who kind of had everything to do in the penalty shots, and a guy you will have to rely on in that situation, Peter Hirsch, and he talks about shootouts, and he also talks about the results from the weekend.
Today was pretty fun. Of course, we won it. No, I mean, shootout is it's a bit of a lottery, really. I mean, I think we scored some very nice goals, and I was lucky enough to stop 2 of them, and that's it. I mean, it's a lottery, and if you got some really skilled guys, as we do on the breakaway, like Shazy, we know we can score a couple, and that's just up to me.
Playing for this team really means a lot to you, doesn't it? I mean, we've seen in the tight games tonight against Belfast, a couple of weeks ago against Nottingham, when it's been 1-goal games and we've won. You've really let that emotion out. Tell the fans how much you love playing here and why.
Well, I said it all along since I got back here. I mean, I really regretted that we left, and I feel like home here. I feel like everybody's is treating me nice, and I can relax and play the game, my game, the way I want, and it's just a bit of it's a mixture of everything, ice hockey and the things besides, that just makes it a really nice time for me.
You've been on this team before when we won silverware. Tomo tonight has said that we've just beat who he thinks in the Belfast Giants the best team on paper. Is this team going to win silverware? Can it win silverware this year?
Well, what we need to do and what we need to be to win things is to be consistent. And a couple of weekends ago we beat Belfast, we beat Nottingham back to back, and then we went up to Cardiff and lost, right? 6-1 also, and we just gotta be a bit more consistent and really find, that consistent way to play every weekend, and if we do that, we can turn this around and really be, right up there.
Tomo called upon Matty to have a really big weekend this weekend in the week. He certainly responded well. How's his confidence and stuff after hearing his coach kind of have a few stern words about him in public?
Well, I don't think that he noticed that. If they had a talk, and I just know that he would he's the kind of player that rise to the occasion. So, and he did today, and I'm not surprised at all. So I'm just happy for him.
So there you go. There's Peter Hirsch. There's a goalie's view of shootouts and what you have to do with them. Peter Hirsch saying that he's very happy in Coventry and he's very happy with the organisation and everything that's going on. And you can't really blame him. We also spoke to one of the Blaze stars of this season, one of the unquestioned Blaze stars of this season. We've had him on the show before. We grabbed him for a slightly more in-depth interview this time. We spoke to Blaze centre Shea Guthrie about what it's like playing centre, coach's criticism, and how he generally feels about his time at the Blaze.
So I'm here with Coventry Blaze centreman Shea Guthrie. Shea, congratulations on a fantastic weekend, and it's must be great to come back like this after injury.
Yeah, it was a nice rebound weekend, and getting 2 wins is huge for us. We kind of gave them some opportunities tonight, and unfortunately we made it a little tougher on ourselves than we had to. But yeah, it was a good weekend to come back for sure.
So the team was struggling in the early days, and there's been a lot of juggling around. You've moved to centre. How's that been for you? And do you think that overall has benefited the team?
I wouldn't say that just me moving there has benefited the team, but it's gave us a little bit of a different look, and I like that line. Me, Mac, and Crouch, we're having some chemistry, and it's it's just kind of like I said, it's given us a little more speed up the middle, and just changes the dynamic of the team a little bit. So it's been good.
You get to play to your strengths because you've got really good hands as well, and being able to skate down the middle, you get to utilise that a lot more.
Yeah, it keeps me involved in the game a little bit more for sure. I have to be a little more responsible defensively, and so it's I gotta be thinking a little bit more, and then I'm more into it. So yeah, it's been good for me so far.
Okay, it doesn't take a genius to work out that with the new guy Woo-Sang Park coming in, there's going to be an extra centreman. How does that affect you as a player? Because Tom has indicated that someone may go.
From what I've heard, Tom was not looking to let anybody go, but he's just trying to create some competition within the team. So anytime you do that, it's good, and it's a good thing, and guys got to look at it that way. If you're not competing on a given day or a given night, then you could be out of the lineup the next night. That'll just make guys work that much harder. So you got to, in any other team I've played on, that's been the case. There's been guys in the stands that have been chomping at the bit, ready to go whenever a guy's not pulling his weight. So I think it'll be good for us, to be honest.
And one final question. Obviously, Tomo previously called the Belfast Giants the best team in the league on paper, and we've now beat them conclusively twice. That must be great for you guys in the dressing room knowing that. And do you think that possibly makes you guys the best team in the league now?
I think it shows that when we're playing to our abilities, we're as good as any team in the league, but it by no means means that we're the best team in the league. If we're not showing up on a given night, then last weekend was a good example. We're not going to win hockey games, so we just got to try to get a level of consistency in our game and just come to play the same way every night, and hopefully we get some good results out of that. So,
can I ask you one more? Yeah. Okay, well, I asked you this in the bar as well. Tomo said that you are the best impact player in the league, and obviously that must put a lot of pressure on your shoulders. How do you deal with that?
You know, I don't really feel the pressure. You know, Tom was doing a good job this year of, you know, kind of letting me just do my thing. And, you know, he doesn't put a lot of pressure on me in terms of expectations. You know, the feedback I get is just, it's all constructive criticism towards my game. And I think that's allowed me to kind of figure it out myself. And, you know, things are working out right now. But if I'm not working hard on a given night, or you know, I'm not performing to my capabilities, then you know the story could change pretty quick. So you can't read too much into what a coach says. You just gotta kind of bring the same thing every night and every day, and hopefully you'll have good results. So
he's such a modest guy, Shea. I mean, Tomo's been saying it for weeks now. He said it last weekend when he was out injured, and he said it again after the Belfast game. He just has nothing but praise for the Carlton Place Ontario Centre, and you know he really enjoys playing in the centre, and you know it's a league where he's going to get more ice time, and he kind of thrives in the more hands-on role, and excuse me, he gets to play in his own zone a lot more, and yeah, I mean he's got fantastic hands up the ice, and he can take it around pretty much anybody he wants, and you know playing centre, and that involves a lot more skating. He gets to utilise that. And yeah, Tomo's bang on. He's such an impact player. He's kind of like Dan Carlson. I think if you cross Dan Carlson and Adam Calder, you pretty much get a Shea Guthrie. I think he's just got kind of the key points from both players. I think he's got a bit of a bit more mobility like DC. He's a little bit better in his own zone like Dan. I just think that you know he's got that kind of sniper's instinct of Calder and that confidence on the puck down low. You know, that Calder has and Fussy had, and yeah, and Fulgham has as well. Fulgham's great down low. I'd love to get Fulgham on the show, but he's one of those kind of players that's been here for a while now. We all know what he can do, and it's a little bit daunting going up to Fulgham and saying, "Luke, can we talk to you?" It's almost like something out of Star Wars trying to get Skywalker on the show. But no, I've got nothing but good things to say about Guthrie. I'm just hoping that he wants to stay here for another year because I think he could be a franchise player for years to come. Yeah, you want to say something, Paul?
I was just going to go on and say we'll keep the positive tone going because we've got a lot to get through, and we have to rattle through these shows pretty quickly. We'll keep the positive tone going. We said we had Matty Soderstrom on the show, and he's always a good interview, is Matty, and he spoke to us at some length after the game against Belfast. Amongst things he discussed why the Blaze could be the best team in the league, and he also talked a little about Woo-Sam Park arriving and Ross Venus being loaned to Telford. So we'll get what Matty has to say now.
So I'm here with Coventry Blaze assistant coach Matty Soderstrom. Matty, it goes without saying that this has been a great weekend for the team.
Oh yeah. No, I mean 4 points, and we beat Belfast at home on penalty shots. I think we should probably beaten them in regular time, but no, we're delighted with 4 points, and especially since Belfast lost last night, so we're 3 points closer to them, still with 3 games in hand. So no, great weekend.
Tomo's called the Belfast Giants on paper the best team in the league. Despite the scoreline being close, we look to dominate them. What does that say about us?
Oh, unless you say that we're the best team in the league. You know, I mean, we still need to tweak a few things there. So we still got more to come from us, and no, I think the boys should sit in there now and lick their lips, and if that's the league leaders and the so-called best team in the league, I think we should be the best team in the league after this.
Tomo's got a bit of a problem on his hands. He's bringing in Woo-Sang Park, which is great to have an extra body, but it doesn't take a genius to work out we're going to have one too many centremen. How's that going to work from a coaching perspective?
Oh, it's a brilliant problem to have, you know. I mean, normally it's the other way around. We have too few players to choose from, but no, it's going to be a bit of competition. Park's going to come in this week, and I mean, it's going to have a long flight and everything like normally when they come in. So, but no, it's we're looking forward to it.
Tomo was talking about him needing a translator. So, does he speak English, or is that going to be a problem?
I'm not too sure. I don't think his English is that great. I think he knows a little bit, but I mean, he's got Woody here, so at least he knows someone that he's played with for 2 years. They're going to be here. Woody said he's going to look after him a bit, help him out, and I'm sure him being over here, he's going to quickly pick up the language. And no, we're all excited to see what he can bring.
Initially, he was signed on a 1-month temporary contract, but by the sounds of things and talking to Tomo, Luke, and yourself, it looks like this is going to be a permanent thing.
Yeah, well, that's the benefit we have here. He's coming over for a month. You know what I mean? It doesn't cost us anything for him to come in. So, you know what I mean? And hopefully it's going to come in, and by all the reports and everything we got on him, he's going to be a really good player in this league. So we'll see what he can do.
Just one final question. Ross Venus has signed on a 2-way with Telford. This is going to be great for him to get the ice time, which he probably wasn't going to get this year with all the competition that he did last year.
Yeah. And I mean, Ross is a huge star for the future for us here. So as Tomo felt that he can't really give him as much ice time as he wants to, and Tommy needed some help in Telford, and he played last night and was outstanding according to Tommy. I mean, he has 3 assists in his first game. And he played really well, so that's just going to benefit him, get his confidence back up, get to play all the time, but get on power plays, and no, it's going to be great for Venus.
Brilliant. Thank you, Matty. Cheers. Yeah, you're right there, Paul. Matty is a great interview, and, you know, I think part of the reason that he's a great interview is because, like Peter Hirsch, he loves this club. And, well, he's been here long enough, and he's lost enough teeth in the process of playing for this team, Matty, so it's always lovely to have him on the show. And he was a little bit confused. He's like, you want me again? I'm like, yeah, he's always got a lot of good things to say and always a lot of very interesting points. And, yeah, I mean, that thing about being the best team in the league is something, you know, we could discuss for on length. I mean, but we'd have to go into talking about other teams, and I don't think we have enough time on a 20-minute show to discuss that. Maybe that's one that we can do as our next week if we get another 4-point weekend. That could be, wow, is this us being the best team in the league? Is this it? Is this where it's going to head? But
I think as well another player that we need to keep an eye on, and we'll get this in. Obviously, we're on Twitter at Blaze Webcast. We'll be mentioning that lately, shortly, because we got the odd bit of stick on that. But Nicholas Easy, who's a regular listener, asked us to talk about Benoit Doucet and his elbow against Brayhead in the Keith Sucker Punches. And the Keith Sucker Punches from Brian Yernick, who is the player who I think could step in and possibly centre that third line, depending on what things that happen. But you watch the replays of the Keith Sucker Punches on Euroneck. Were they Sucker Punches? Because we saw the fight, and, you know, admittedly, Adam Keith threw his gloves away and went for Yernick, and he obviously wanted to start something as spark his team, because the Giants were 2-0 down at the time earlier in the game, and it was a fairly nothing hit on Jeremy Rebeck, from what I could tell.
it was just a bit late.
It was a little late, and Adam Keith wanted to start something. The far more serious one, though, we agreed very simply that the Sucker Punches from Keith and Yernick were a bit questionable, but, you know, nothing to really call, unlike what you're going to talk about, and you talked about at great length on the webcast.
I don't think there was anything in it, to be honest with you. If you go on YouTube and type in Adam Calder versus Jan Magdasko in the 2004-2005 season, there's something very similar where the fight kind of comes to an end. Calder goes to skate away, pushes him away, and Magdasko, obviously with the adrenaline going through him, throws a couple at the back of his head. I think, you know, Yernick was expecting the referees to jump in there as he'd kind of go into a situation where his back was to Keith, and yeah, you just think Keith got the jump on the lines, but got a couple through, and there's nothing really in it for me. The Doucet hit against Brayhead, was, my opinion, disgusting. I mean, if you've not seen it, YouTube, the Belfast Brayhead game from the Saturday night, and it's about 3 minutes in, and Doucet chases the puck into the corner, lands a very clean hit, squirts back round up the boards, and he lines up a player and just goes straight through his head with his elbow. And he's going to get fined or banned for that. And, you know, the way that the league's working at the minute, and they're trying to be tougher on hits like that, and, you know, they've been quite public about it because they're putting who's getting banned and who's getting fined on the website, which I think is actually bang on. I don't think there should be any kind of place for players to hide when they do that kind of thing, you know.
Indeed, it was a horrific check from Benoit Doucet. You know it's bad when your own fans are criticising it, and Belfast fans, with the exception of a couple, have basically been going on, having seen the replay, and said, yeah, that looks a bit nasty. We'd be surprised if Doucet doesn't get banned for it.
I'm not saying he's not a good player. I think he's a very good player, but he's a high-energy guy, and, you know, high-energy guys sometimes see red and have their stupid moments. So it's interesting because, you know, you have players like Brad Voth who try and shake off that kind of almost, I'm not going to use the word prejudice, but it's almost like that's kind of how referees and officials see it. You know, if Adam Keefe had landed that hit, I think we've been looking at a different story. And
this is fair enough. But speaking of getting into trouble, here we go. And speaking of seeing red, after the Belfast game, Blaze fans are notorious, unforgiving bunch, shall we say, recently, possibly with good reason. over the past season and a half, because the club have said, and everybody said, that last season was not an enjoyable one for everybody going. Now, on Monday, the debate was set off when Paul Thompson basically posted on his Twitter that he'd had another Elite League coach ring him and say that he couldn't believe that the fan base was still getting on the team's back and players were still getting stick after they'd beaten the Elite League leaders, the Belfast Giants, in overtime. Now, we basically weighed in with this and said we were going to talk about this and take aim on not our words, it's the words that's been used by other people, fickle fandom. Now, within a couple of hours of us putting this tweet on Twitter, all hell broke loose because we had several responses. Not least, we had Scott Findlay saying, "How can we be fickle because we're the same core who turned up every week last year?" We had Steve Viddle saying, "Oh no, sorry, that was the wrong name. I apologise for that one." We had Steve Igley say, "I'm sorry if I pronounced that name wrong. Apparently, it's fickle to say losing is bad and winning is good." And we also had someone say that they'd be out of a job and business if it wasn't for the fickle fans. We'd be out of a job and business if it wasn't for the fickle, in inverted commas, obviously fans. Now, we're going to have a debate about this. We said we're going to have a debate about this. In the interests of balance, right, we're going to present both sides because we have to present both sides. So we'll deal with the fans' criticisms first of all. Now, a lot of fans are saying that last season, and the reason there's perhaps more cynicism is because partly the club's fault, due to the fact that they've stepped away from the fans somewhat, and they've had arguments. Now, do you agree with this, basically, Ed, is what I'm asking, because I can see you're itching to respond.
Well, the Blaze have responded to how last season went. You know, the first interviews we did with Tomo, the first things we did for this webcast were, you know, how is this team different to last year's? And it was very simple. We had some contractual issues last year, which meant that, you know, Tomo wanted to change the team around and couldn't. You know, we're not saying who, but, you know, he wanted to release some players, and then because of the injuries and the contracts, he couldn't. And that's how kind of how the season went this year. He's got a lot more free reign. You know, he signed a lot of single guys that don't have, you know, no offense to the wives and girlfriends or the kids, but baggage, essentially. So that, you know, he doesn't have to cut a whole family loose. If he's going to cut a guy, he can just cut a guy. So it's different to last year, because if things are going down the pan, he can cut someone and bring someone in. And, you know, in a sense, no disrespect to John Gordon, things weren't working out with him, cut him, brought in Dustin Wood. He hasn't cut Aaron now. Aaron, you know, we wish him all the best, and he's left for personal reasons. But because of that, and, you know, moving Ross on and trying to give some more punch up the middle, he's brought in Woo-Sang Park as well. And, you know, Matty Soderstrom said that he's not looking to release... Shea Guthrie said that he doesn't think he's looking to release anyone, but if Woo-Sang wants to stay and is going to be able to command that ice time and that position, and someone's not going to be happy about it, he can happily turn around and say, okay, we'll happily move you on. So I think that he's addressed that from last year.
Do you think the Blaze have addressed... because another criticism, and we should point out at this point, by the way, that this is independent in the sense that the Blaze don't tell us what to say, so we're not... So before we get the criticism of being mouthpieces of the club, which I know some people will come straight out with, we'll say that the Blaze haven't told us to say any of this. This is our own personal opinion. The second thing that's been said is that the breakdown, you know, there was perhaps an arrogance, or there was a breakdown in relations with the fans, which was perhaps best summed up for me after a game against Nottingham, the Sky game. No, it was either that one or the game against Cardiff. Either way, it was a big game that the Blaze had lost, and Tomo went into the Crosby's interview afterwards and was asked about the booing and said if people want to boo, they can go elsewhere. And obviously immediately people got a little bit annoyed by that, and there was the instant reaction of fickle fans, we pay your wages, etc, 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 etc. But from my point, I think it was a questionable thing to say, and I think, you know, it's been said before, and it was an expected reaction, and Tomo apologised and got out of it. And this year, the club have done far more to try and engage with the fans. They've addressed their opinion. Indeed, one of the reasons we do this, one of the major reasons it was changed, was to engage with the fans. And, Tomo's gone on and said he's happy to have an open forum. Now, my question is, how many people will turn up to that, or will it be Twitter? We're planning, we might ask and see if we can get a forum where you ask us the questions and we pass them on. But I think a lot of it is a hangover from last year. I don't think it's fair to be judging this team by last season's team. I think things have changed, and I think some of the fans perhaps haven't yet realised that and are too quick to jump on the team's back and hide behind the instant, we pay your wages, you wouldn't have a job if it wasn't for us, etc., etc. All very well saying they're professional sportsmen. I fully agree with this. And they'll have had criticism in their past, and they'll have it in their future. But, when you get stick, it hurts, whatever happens. And when fans are on the forums speculating about players should retire, and Jonathan Weaver and saying, he's too slow, he should retire, his season's over, how do you think a captain is going to react to that?
I'm not going to put words in Weaver's mouth. All I'm going to say is, I'm getting a little bit of deja vu, because we did a show a month ago when the Blaze lost to Belfast by one goal, and there was booing afterwards. And there was heckling in Crosby's when I was interviewing Tomo. And my point then was the point that I'm going to make now, is that if the team get bombed off the ice 10-1, i.e. the Nottingham game, in front of the home fans, and they've played like a bunch of under-10s against men, fine. If you want to vent your frustration by booing, then, I think Tomo will be the first person to turn around with his hands up in the air and go, yeah, we were not very good tonight. I had to curb my language there. Verbatim quoting Tomo almost, and that's not going to be good on the show. I don't know how he does Tomo talk sometimes when he gets when he gets into a bit of a rhythm and he's getting into something he feels strongly about, and you can tell. But back to the point. But we beat the Belfast Giants. It was in a shootout, and there were things that Tomo said the team could have done better. Matty Soderstrom said the team could have done better. Guthrie said it. Hirsch said it. The power play was 0 for 10. And, if it wasn't for that, our power play's nearly 30% this year. If our power play had been running as it usually does, and Thomas said he was going to try some new things, and then that didn't work out, so he reverted back to the old things. And if the power play would have hit, we'd have destroyed the Belfast Giants, pure and simple. We didn't. They capitalised on a couple of turnovers. Tomo was joking after that timeout where he said, "Oh yeah, well, I told Guthrie to go and give them the puck, and then they can go on a 2-on-1 and score." And if it weren't for the little simple mistakes, we'd have bombed the Belfast Giants off the ice. We didn't, but we still got a win against who Tomo has openly called the best team in the league on paper. And I don't understand how you can have any scruples about that. I just don't. I thought we played magnificently. I thought we played one of the best games I've seen us play in the Sky Dome this season. I thought the team really, really looked like a championship contending team. And I went in a bit of a rant when I heard that people were criticising them. Criticising people like Weaver is just when defensemen get older, sure they lose a bit of mobility, but they channel that and they adapt their games. The good ones do, and that's why the good ones are still in the league. That's why Weaver's still in the league. Why Neumeier was in the league at 37 and 38 years old. Why Cloutier, although he's a forward, why he's still in the league? Because they know where their weaknesses are and they adapt to them. And Weaver's going to be in this league as long as his body can stand up to it. Because we know he's got a bit of injury problem. He's had surgery and stuff. Because he's a smart defenseman. Everyone makes mistakes. I mean, even Tomo's put his hands in the air and said, Weaver can make big mistakes, but he can be a blooming genius at times as well. And he's adapting that. He's in the Blaze organisation as a whole is in a period of transition. And Weaver's game, just taking him as an example, is as well, because he's going to lose some of the mobility that he destroyed teams with. And even when he was a winger, he was quick up the wing. But he's got to be a little bit more responsive defensively. And you watch him after before the game training session, warm up thing, whatever you want to call it. He sits there now more than he used to. He gets a big handful of pucks. He sticks them in front of him and goes from the angles and the places on the ice where he's going to be on special teams or where he's going to be on a 5-on-5 and shoots more. Before, he was one of the first players off the ice. That just shows that he's going to say, right, okay, well, I'm losing my ability. I'm not going to be able to go through players, but I'm going to have to rely on my shot a little bit more offensively. And taking care of it defensively, I mean, look who he's partnered with.
This is true. This is fair enough. I mean, I don't know. The thing that I think, and I can't speak for any of the club here, but I think the thing that would certainly annoy me if I was in this position is players are getting criticism and they're getting stick from people that's patently wrong. Because, for example, a lot of people saying, Blaze don't get people in front of the net, Blaze don't do this, Blaze don't do that, Blaze don't do the other. And, you know, I'm going to stick with the Blaze putting people in front of the net because that's the easiest thing to deal with. We're perhaps slightly privileged because we've had this explained to us, but it's something you can see very obviously if you watch the Blaze on the power play. Players like Matty Soderstrom, players like Shea Guthrie don't park themselves in front of the net, but they will time it and they will drift across the front of the goalie as someone shoots. And you know, if it seems that some people are coming out with, if they don't see it, smacking them in the face, some big guy parked with his backside in front of the net, waving, going, look, here I am, I'm screening the goalie. They don't see it. And, you know, maybe some of the criticism, if criticism is backed up and it's fair and it's logical, then, you know, that's fair enough. I don't think anybody has any problem with it. I think the fans' criticisms last year about perhaps the club being distanced from the fans and this, that and the other were fair. The club are attempting to address that this year with such things as the round table. I mean, we've got to state again, you know, we do this independently and we don't get paid for it. But that made me laugh. Someone saying we'd be out of a job. We don't get paid for this. But the thing is that the club have been open with us and said you can talk to whoever you want, wherever you want, wherever you want, and when you'll do it. Tomo has said, okay, we're getting stick. Let's have an open forum. And my wonder now is how many people will turn up to that and actually ask the questions, or how many people will hide behind a forum username, because the fan base is divided. And frankly, it's depressing to go on the likes of Fire and Ice and look at it and see the same things being said over and over again. I mean, this is a team that beat the best team in the league. They didn't win well. They didn't win 10-1. There were mistakes. There were errors. There were going to be mistakes and errors. You wanted the team to try. The team are trying harder. You know, you wonder sometimes what people want, is my argument. And I just think that maybe if fans weren't certain fans, and there's only some, it's a very small minority. It's a very small minority. We should point this out.
For instance, the Sky Dome, sorry to cut you off, was rocking on Sunday night. It was brilliant. The atmosphere was great. The Panthers game, the atmosphere then a couple of weeks ago, that was fantastic as well. It is a small minority, and you know, I don't want us to alienate the fans that are listening to this and go and think, well, what the hell are we doing wrong? Because it's a small number of people. Even Tomo's addressed it, but it's the same number of people, and it's the same stuff all the time. And I think that's what's grinding our gears a little bit. I'm using grinding our gears a lot, aren't I, on this show? I've really got to stop it.
You've watched too much Family Guy. That's as simple as that. That's what happens. But we've talked too long. Probably this is going to be the longest roundtable ever by some distance. So we've talked too long. That's our opinion. Yes, it's not a one-way street. The alienation is not a one-way street. We know this. We appreciate this, and we can see all sorts of things going on Twitter. Don't forget, if you've got any views on what we've said, feel free to use Twitter. You know, we're open for it. Come and find us at games if you want to. Talk to us face to face. We're stood there in the media gallery. You know, we'll happily speak to us. But, you know, we'll be there. We've said our piece. Tomo has done the open forum. We'll see what develops on that. We'll try and get a recording of that, or we'll try and find a way to broadcast that so people who can't go can listen on the internet if the Blaze are happy with that. But that's your round table for this week. We hope we haven't been too controversial and annoyed a lot of you, although some Blaze fans seemingly will get annoyed by anything, judging by, you know, if you can get annoyed about beating the top of the table team by finding all the negatives, then clearly you can get annoyed at anything. I'll put my claws away, and We will say goodbye for Roundtable this week. We'll be back at the weekend for the Coventry Blaze game against the Dundee Stars. We hope you've enjoyed this epic. You know, we're always open for talking on the Twitter at Blaze Webcast, and we will no doubt return to this topic next week. Take care of yourselves, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you everybody for listening. For now, from me, Paul